KC's Audio Vault.
Ian Astbury from The Cult.
March 27th, 2008. It's part 2. I guess there's definitely parts of the business that you don't enjoy. Is being on the road, is touring still fun, or is that sort of feel like an old chapter in the book, The Cult?
Touring's like a necessary evil in some ways. Not every day am I playing and performing in a city like Vancouver. It's challenging. I mean, playing, having said that, playing across Canada is great for us because Canada feels more like home in a lot of ways. I'm familiar with the culture and just feel that the people here are a lot warmer. And it's a smaller country in terms of population. It's more of a community in a sense. And I love that about Canada. Touring across Canada is a real pleasure. I mean, slogging it out across the United States for several months is difficult.
Where do you call home? Is it the fact that you miss being at home base, or just the overwhelmingness of all the different cities and all the people?
Well, it's just you're away for extended periods, and it wears on you spiritually, physically, mentally. Constantly have to pack. I mean, every day I unpack and repack my suitcase. Every day there's major preparation for a show. It becomes a grind after a while. Having said that, if there's something, I'm really passionate about playing the new material, so that's a great reason to get out there. But I like to remain as fresh as possible in the creative process, and I'm really more into the creative process now. I'm really more into the writing process. I get a lot more done when I'm in the same environment. Writing on the road is a bit more challenging. You don't have the resources around you, and I miss my home. I miss being in my own domestic environment. I miss my girl. I miss seeing her every day. Being out on the road's hard. It's not for everybody. That's why I keep walking. That's why I take hiatuses. That's why I take breaks to regenerate myself.
Where is your home? Is it you in New York these days? Or?
Yeah, New York City.
Are you a U.S. citizen these days?
No.
Do you pay attention to any of the U.S. politics or anything like that, or is that another kind of closed door?
How can you miss that?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, even for Canadians.
And I don't see much politics going on. It's more of a popularity competition. Because really, it's just more media distraction for us, because a lot of the policies are already set based upon human beings' habits. It's evident that we're going to continually consume oil. It's evident that we're going to continually consume products. It's evident that we're going to continually consume veneer culture. Those things don't seem to be changing. Those trends don't seem to be changing. What isn't evident is what is the plan for our spiritual welfare. And I don't mean like religious, we're going to build some new churches and everyone's going to find the Lord. I mean like really people's quality of life. Real quality of life. Philosophical quality of life. You change the philosophy of a culture, we could basically survive on very little material wealth and still have a very rich life. You know what I mean? And it's almost like we're just unable to go inward for the answers, and everything's about changing. It's like rearranging the furniture, when actually what you need to do is to change the self. And that's where I'm more interested in, is my own evolvement, my own evolution, because that's really all I'm in control of is myself. It's all I've got. I can't control things outside of me. So if you want to affect some change in the world, start with yourself. I don't think that the politicians are really going to, they might change some conditions around you, but you're still the same person inside. For me, anyway, that's my truth.
Do you have a type of a routine when you're at home?
Routine?
Yeah. Do you got meditation? You got yoga? How do you keep yourself healthy spiritually?
I think by being aware. Just be aware of what you put into yourself. In terms of information. It's changed dramatically for me. My girlfriend Apollo really had a major effect on me. She was very, very influential in drawing my attention to the culture and how that affects mood and just certain material like films and magazines and advertising and like how this is all really, at one point I was kind of like, yeah, that's the way it is, and just kind of don't look at it, don't interact with it. But it was really being aware of it, and like really looking at it and going, this really does affect us. It's just we're overwhelmed with this information. And I think in the past 3 years, I've really become more progressively looking inward. I've amplified it. I've amped it up a lot more. I mean, I did have that awareness before, but now I just feel so much more compelled to work on that aspect of myself. It's great what's happening with Tibet right now in China, because that's kind of like a metaphor for what I'm really talking about, because Tibet represents a culture that's essentially a philosophical and spiritual culture, whereas Chinese culture at present is a materialistic culture. So it's the two great things. It's almost like the mind versus the heart. Isn't that the great human, the battle of the human being is between the mind and the heart. The ego really gets us into some places that, are no good for us. And the heart really has all the answers. So it's getting more in touch with the heart-based culture. And it's interesting because a lot of the cult material from the past, I think some of it came from the head, ego-driven stuff. But there was always the underlying heart culture awareness, maybe the Native American influence, and then later the Buddhist influences and philosophical influence have permeated our work from day one. And that's probably my love affair of indigenous cultures and music like by Bowie or The Doors, music that's more introspective, that has layers and textures to it. And that's, and literature that I've, and film. But I think that my interest and my intensity has increased in those areas.
Was there a point in your career where ego seemed to be overwhelming the heart? Looking back, was there a darker period?
I think Sonic Temple period, maybe where, commerce really took over. And I really struggled with that because I wasn't comfortable with that. I was never comfortable with it. And that's one of the reasons that we never embraced that kind of, hit that kind of stratosphere as a band. Because I felt that what we were getting ourselves into was a materialistic space, and I don't know, it didn't seem like a very spiritual space. It was a very kind of veneer space, and that's not where I was really at. And I was more interested in going deeper. I think this record, in many ways, again, that's the impetus of this record, was getting closer to the truth. Songs like Holy Mountain, that song, I couldn't be any more revealing about myself. So in essence, that's a great success for me, to be able to reach that kind of truth in myself and express myself that truthfully and that fearlessly. It's an act of love and it's an act of courage, and I'm sharing that with people. But that's my truth, and that's the space that I work from now.
Once this tour is over, I guess you're very much looking forward to going home, but do you have any other any plans to go on a vacation, go to India, anything in the near future?
Well, to me, what I'm actually really looking forward to is going back into the studio and doing some more creative work. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I've got a lot of material right now that I'm anxious to get started on. I haven't actually been in the studio since May last year.
Well, I appreciate having a nice long chat with you here.
All right.
And thanks again. I'm looking forward to the show coming up in Winnipeg.
Take care.
All the interviews you want on iTunes and at Power97.com. Casey's Audio Vault.
Casey Norman is Power 97's music director and can be heard every weekday from 2 till 6 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Power 97 is Winnipeg's best rock.